What's up, curious youngsters? In 2001, Monster Incorporated, one of Pixar's most important films, was released, which left aside talking animals to encounter a slightly stranger idea, where there was a parallel world that produced its energy through the scares of children. While some people may have only watched the movie and recalled its best moments, the more curious decided to explore the Easter eggs, references, and theories that completely alter our perception of Monster Incorporated. These range from dark theories about murdered monsters used as home decor to more ordinary ones, suggesting doors serve as time travel portals. For this and much more, these are 10 Monster Incorporated theories that will ruin your childhood one monster murder. We get a little terrifying to start talking about a pretty dark theory. The movie shows that humans greatly fear monsters, which is why their screams are used to generate energy. But we also know that monsters are afraid of humans. Every time an object or a child escapes from the human world, real chaos ensues, where the Child Detection Agency will have to appear to solve the situation. In one scene, we can hear Randall talking about humans who trap monsters and take their fur to then use it covering toilet seats. When does an ordinary line of dialogue become so significant? The Toy Story short Partysaurus Rex appears 11 years after the premiere of Monsters Incorporated. While Bonnie is bathing, it can be seen that the toilet is covered by a rug that matches the colors and texture of Sullivan's fur. Yeah, let's go with the stunned owl. There's a chance that Sullivan, on one of his trips to the human world to reunite with Boo, made some mistake and ended up being captured and killed by humans. Weren't you scared? Are you sick or dying? It nearly killed me? The second theory connects the universes of two Disney movies, Monsters Incorporated and The Incredibles. The Incredibles movie will be part of a big theory when introduced into Monsters Incorporated. It starts when Sullivan finds an unguarded door at the end of the workday. When he opens it to investigate, Boo enters the world of monsters. When Randall appears, Sully must keep the girl and take her in a bag to inform Mike. This is the moment when everything unfolds. Boo escapes from the bag, presents herself to the monsters in the restaurant, and causes chaos in Monstropolis. So, after isolating the city, the reports appear, and a monster is going to say a child floated over me and blew up a car with his laser beam. Several people believed he was exaggerating just to appear on television. But what if the child wasn't Boo, but Jack instead, and our monstrous friend wasn't exaggerating at all? The coolest Incredibles superhero has many powers, including the ability to shoot laser beams from his eyes. In The Incredibles Part 2, it's revealed that Jack can also teleport to other dimensions. So there's a chance that the Parr family's baby. In his attempt to control his powers, he may have visited the Monster Incorporated universe, causing this disaster. It's true, I saw it with 18 Eyes 3, Andy was scared by the monsters. As mentioned earlier, Pixar can bring toys to life in Toy Story and monsters in Monster Incorporated, but this occurs in separate worlds. Or so we thought until now. When we see Boo's room during the farewell with Sullivan, we see Cowgirl Jessie and Luxo's ball, which are very characteristic of Toy Story. So, maybe Andy was also scared by the monsters. Another detail that seems to confirm this theory is when a monster enters a room to scare a child. We can observe the same poster that was in Sid's room, so then our worlds begin to mix. And as if that wasn't enough, when Randall is practicing his skills to scare children, he's going to blend into different walls. And yes, the sky blue wall full of clouds is none other than the wall of Andy's room. On Andy's door, there's a lizard sticker, an Easter egg for Pixar's unreleased movie NEUD. But it could also indicate that Andy had conquered his fear of monsters, so Randall would no longer come into his room. For genetic mutation. Pixar is known for creating films with unusual stories and characters, including insects, toys, cars, monsters, and an elderly man who flies in his house. But the crazy idea that everything comes to life is backed by great theories. The Pixar universe seems to connect through the incredible idea of mutation in people, which were suffering over the years from radiation as a result of the enormous amount of garbage that was on planet Earth. Overuse of technology and nuclear energy may have caused changes in people. And while we see the first changes in movies like The Incredibles, where not all people suffered from mutations, the theory becomes much darker when considering movies like Cars, Bugs, or Monsters Incorporated. The inhabitants of Monstropolis are actually not monsters but humans who have been genetically modified over the years. And when we start thinking about the people who live inside the rooms like Boo, the theory is going to defend the existence of humans under the idea that the doors work as portals in time. The monsters are actually scaring people from a bygone era as the world has changed and humans no longer exist. Boo is a time traveler. There's a big theory where our little Boo is going to leave the human world in search of Sullivan. At the end of Monsters Incorporated, Mike and Sullivan must bid farewell to Boo. After just a few weeks, Mike assembles the door, allowing Sully to see the girl again. Time passes slower in the monster world, so for Boo, it felt like years without seeing Sullivan. So this theory will start taking better shape. The girl became obsessed with Sully since he was not her monster and she only had good adventures with him. So, once the door closed, Y only found a closet full of clothes every time she opened the door. She started a journey to try to find him again, a journey that led her to travel through different worlds in search of Kitty. This theory is confirmed when we see that in Brave at the moment when Merida visits the witch. In her workshop, among various items, a board with an engraved figure of Sullivan was found. This alone may have been sufficient evidence. The witch's workshop is filled with bear sculptures, indicating her strong affinity for this woodland creature. Indeed, if any animal resembles Sullivan, it's a bear. And as we know, the old witch from Brave is the only protagonist who has the ability to teleport using doors. There is a strong connection between the doors in Monsters Inc. and the witch. Boo, who had previously left her room and entered the monster world, escaped again from the human world. And her search for Sullivan had taken her to different worlds in different times. And perhaps she found in the medieval world of Brave a better use of magic through witchcraft? So she decided to stay there while she tried different doors in her search for Sullivan 6. Time is different when the movie begins and we can see how all the monsters prepare to start their workday. We can observe that on the score screen there is also a map that has a time zone marked, which is not a minor detail for this theory. Time moves slower in the monster universe, possibly to allow visiting many rooms in a single work shift. This theory, which might seem a bit strange, becomes very interesting when the movie comes to its end. When Sullivan first meets Boo, the little girl can only laugh, cry, and say kitty in a very childlike voice. In the movie's final scene, when Sullivan reunites with Boo, her voice has noticeably changed. And while only a few days had passed in the monster world, it would seem that years had passed in the human world. Which could also be one of the reasons why monsters are so afraid of being trapped in the human world. Additionally, the idea of handling time differently could be one of the ways monsters had to avoid meeting the parents. Wazowski, didn't you sort your paperwork last night? 7. The disappearance of the monsters. As we know, monsters need humans to generate the clean and sustainable energy they use. In the movie WALLE, it's revealed that Earth has become uninhabitable due to excessive pollution and waste accumulation. In 2015, humans choose to depart Earth, planning to return one day. 700 years later, we meet Wall-E, a robot cleaning the Earth, and humans will return upon finding life. But then, what happened to the monsters during those 700 years? Some theories suggest that without humans, they had no other way to survive and eventually disappeared. Other less apocalyptic theories still support the idea of time and space travel through doors. So the monsters still on planet Earth could feed on the screams of children living in space. 8 living toys in Monster Incorporated. We already said earlier that there were great possibilities that Monster Incorporated and Toy Story share the same universe. And this theory not only supports the idea that monsters leave Monstropolis to go scare Andy's neighbors, but also that the children's toys being in their rooms are going to appear every time a monster comes in to scare them. This is evident in the opening scene of Monsters Incorporated, where multiple toys in the simulation room move without explanation. The soccer ball was next to the bed and suddenly it's going to appear in the middle of the room when the monster ruins the simulation. The skateboard and spikes were not visible when the cameras were shown from above. And yet, they're going to appear in the indicated place to complicate our Monster 9. Boo has superpowers in Monsters Incorporated. Boo is a very important character, but apparently she will also be in other Pixar movies. After considering Boo as the witch from Brave, there's also a theory that Boo could have been Violet from The Incredibles at some point in her life. And we have several reasons to think this. In the opening scene, Sully checks the door and finds Boo outside. He puts her back in, but when he closes the door, she's outside again, which could reflect the early stages of her powers. Also, this coincides with what we see in The Incredibles, since when Violet is happy, as Boo was at that moment, her powers work. However, when stressed or under pressure, like when Randall traps Boo and Sully, her powers don't work. The only way Boo would be called Violet is if her name is actually Mari, as we know. Like Dash, the names are given based on the child's known power, as they relate to their ability. 10 children are not toxic. Despite the movie's depiction of humans as dangerous to monsters, this may not be entirely accurate. When a child escapes, chaos ensues and the Child Detection Agency steps in to resolve the situation. But there are some details of the movie that give us enough reasons to think that all of this is a lie, which was made with the aim of preventing the children of the world from getting used to monsters or getting scared outside the doors, wasting energy. When Randall and Waternoose's plan is exposed, Agent Number 1, our snail Ross, shows up. Unlike the other agents, she doesn't panic about Boo's presence and even allows Sully to spend time with her. So, clearly, children were not as toxic as they were made out to believe. Before I go, let me say hello to a few subscribers. First, a huge hello to Manuel Gomez, and another greeting for Mariano Pozuelos. I also send a big greeting to Jose Susano, and another greeting for Sasha Najar. Then I greet Jose Killer, finally a big greeting to Neida Rodriguez. Welcome Brian Padilla, who is new to the channel, and a final greeting to the crew of Top Movies. Now yes, leave your like, comment, everything, really everything you want. Don't forget to share the channel and video with your friends. Now, more kisses. Mr. Curiosity, subscribe and click the bell to stay updated on new videos. Goodbye.